beautiful bookish friends, I'm Bowen and welcome to my channel. This video is going to be my December wrap up. Now, I don't need to tell you guys that December is absolute pure chaos. It's chaos for everyone every year, and add Bookmas into that. I don't know whether this was a fantastic idea or a terrible idea, because I'm not gonna lie, I've been doing so much Bookmas content, my house is an absolute fucking shit show right now. So power to people that do Bookmas every single year or have a very regular upload schedule, because I honestly could not. It would take over my entire life. And somehow, in the midst of all that chaos, I still managed to read 14 books. So, let's get into all the books that I read in the month of December. So we're going to start with Three Swedish Mountain Men by Lily Gold. I gave this one a 3.75 and a 3 spice rating. If you've never read a Lily Gold book before, this is probably a really good place to start, but if you have read a Lily Gold book before, they all kind of follow the same formula. We have a white shoes romance with no sword crossing. We have the flirty one, the grumpy one, and the shy/reserved one. And they've all done a polyamorous type of relationship before. This is new for the female main character, but she ends up snowed in with these three guys that all try and pursue a relationship with her, all together. I read this one in my snowed in reading vlog. I will link that in the description down below, and it's just a fun time. Then we have my only reread of the entire year. We have Choosing Theo by Victoria Avlin. Obviously, I still gave this one 5 stars and a 3 spice rating. This is an alien romance, and it's book 1 in the Caucayan series, and I absolutely fucking love this series. I will scream about it from the rooftops. I am obsessed. This is the hardback discreet cover. I love it so much. I don't want to put my face on it because I don't want to get makeup on it, but it's just so good, and I will reread this one every single December. This is my 3rd reread of this, and Theo is my Christmas book boyfriend. Is this Christmassy? Even a little bit? No. Do I care? Fuck no. This book follows Jade, who gets abducted by aliens, and they take her to this planet, but she manages to escape, and they have to end up keeping her on this planet, but she has to get married to someone that she picks. There's like this whole choosing thing where she gets to see this lineup of guys. She gets to pick which one she marries, and then she sees Theo, that's like all big and burly and tattooed, and she's like, that guy. I want the big burly tattooed man, because he looks fit. But on this world, those tattoos are actually scars, so everyone else thinks he's really ugly, so he thinks that she is a spy for some reason, and she's there like, nah man, I just think you're really hot. Obviously, there is a lot more to it. All of the guys in this series go to husbandry school to learn how to be good husbands because of the male to female ratio. So the guys stay home and rear the kids, and they have to go to school for that, and oh my god, I just fucking eat this series up every time. I love it. I'm obsessed every single fucking year. Like, honestly, he's got like a dog and everything. How could you not love him? Then we have Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I gave this one a 3 star. While I did really enjoy Red Rising, and I thought that one was a lot of fun, I think that this one I left way too long since I read Red Rising before I read this. While I really enjoyed Red Rising, I read that one over a year ago, and I think that really contributed to how much I enjoyed this, because I think I just left it way too fucking long. And I seem to have forgotten pretty much everything that happened in Red Rising before I read this. And while some of it came back to me, for the most part, this one was just very, very action heavy and very politic heavy, and I really just didn't care. I didn't like pretty much any of the characters. Even the main character just kind of annoyed me. I still don't like the romance in this, and I really don't think I'm going to continue on with this series. Then we have Irresistible Puck Boy by Eden Finley and Saxon James. I gave this one a 4.5 and a 3 spice rating. I genuinely, absolutely fucking adore this series. I cannot wait to get to all of the rest of them. So at this point, I've read book 2, book 5, and book 6. This book follows Dex and Trip, and Dex is honestly just, he's a little bit daft, but in a way that's genuinely just so sweet and so earnest and just so unjaded that I feel like you have to protect him at all costs. I just kind of love him, okay? And Trip is his best friend that's been in love with him for, well, forever. But when Trip tries to put some distance between him and Dex so he can kind of try and get over him, Dex is just really confused as to why. And Dex gets really sad that his best friend is pulling away and slowly comes to the realization that he's in love with Trip too. And this is just so stinking cute. This series just makes me smile so much. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to get to more of these books in the new year. Then we have Protected by the Orc by Honey Phillips. I gave this one a 2.75 and a 2 spice rating. This book follows Holdart and Trish's father is a big, powerful person with a lot of money, and Holdart is set to protect his daughter. So when someone breaks into her house, he whisks her away to protect her, and he takes her back to Fairhaven Falls, which is where this series is set. He refers to her as Princess, and that is very much the type of behaviour that she gives off. It's very bratty princess behaviour, and it just kind of grates on me. Especially because the way that she acts makes her come across as a lot younger than she actually is. And she is the type of rich that refers to her father as daddy. And there's just something about that that just don't sit right with me. I'm sorry, it just don't. And also there's one scene in here that the consent issue just kind of rubbed me the wrong way too. Like, I don't know how I feel about Honey Phillips's books because I give them mostly a 3-star, but this one just wasn't it for me. Then we have Merry Inkbus by Talia Hibbert. I gave this one a 4-star and a 2 spice rating. For such a short story, this is a lot darker than I was expecting it to be. I mean, not in the context of the story timeline that is happening now, more in the character's backstory, because I really was not expecting that. I thought this would be a cute, cozy little romance about this big tattoo guy that brings his receptionist back to his mum's house for Christmas after he gives her a job as his receptionist because he was there when she lost her job, and he wants to make sure that she stays on her feet, and also because he has a monumental fucking crush on her. I thought it was just going to be cute. Nope. So there is going to be a little bit of a trigger warning for domestic violence in the backstory of one of these characters. That is something I wasn't necessarily expecting. But overall, it was Talia Hibbert, so naturally I loved it. It was just really heavy for a smutty Christmas romance novella. Then we have another Christmas read in Trick Shot by Carla Gross. This one I gave a 4.25 and a 4 spice rating. This is a polyamorous why choose relationship type of story, where Theo gets accidentally mistaken for his twin brother, who is a famous hockey player, at the airport bar on Christmas Eve by this woman named Riley, and he takes a real shine to her. So when all the flights are cancelled due to the weather, he invites her back to his place, where both of them, along with his best friend Jace, all have a lot of fun together. But bear in mind, she still thinks that this is the famous hockey player. So the one thing about this that did kind of ick me out just a smidge, surprisingly wasn't the insta-love and wasn't the daddy kink. It was the fact that she said his brother's name while they were having sex. And while it kind of grossed him out, he still went along with it and didn't correct her, which I just think is really fucking weird. But overall, I really, really enjoyed this. This is my first Carla Gross book, and this is also a plus-size romance, and I absolutely ate this shit up. So I'm really looking forward to getting to more books by this author. It was fun, it was smutty, it was an absolutely bang-in time. Pardon the really, really obvious pun. Then we have Next in Line by Amy Dawes. I gave this one a 1.25 and a 3 spice rating. Okay, so we're going to get into it. This should have been on my worst books list. This should have been the number 3 spot in my worst books list, but I read it after I filmed that video. I absolutely cannot quite get over how much I fucking hated this book. Which is such a shame because I love every single other book that I've read from this author. I can't express how much I fucking hated this one. This book follows Sam and Maggie, and they meet at this tackle shop where she's trying to get all the things she needs to go ice fishing, which she's never done before, and then some guy just starts being a prick, and then Sam defends her. So that was their meet cute. So Maggie's doing all of these things that are really very much outside her comfort zone, very much almost adrenaline junkie kind of things, because her boyfriend broke up with her on Christmas morning over cookies that she made for him, and he called her basic, and now she's doing all of this to try and win him back. First of all, you dumb fucking bitch. He broke up with you on Christmas Day. Run. Leave him. Forget about him. He's not worth it, evidently. But every single thing that she does is to try and win back this ex. And the thing is, I don't think she even really likes the ex. She just had a plan, and him breaking up with her was not part of the plan. So she's determined to win him back so they can be back on track and they can get married, have kids, and do the whole thing. Even though she doesn't necessarily love him. And she's getting feelings for Sam, who happens to be her brother's best friend, but they don't realise that when they first meet. I just don't even logically get why she's trying to win back her ex. She's the one that kisses Sam first, and while she says it's a mistake, if she was really that desperate to be with her ex, she wouldn't have fucking done it. And I'm not exactly Sam's biggest fan either. Like, any guy that refers to women as females, immediately no. strongest levels of ick. Fucking throw them out. Throw them out. I'm so unbearably disappointed in this. It hurts my fucking soul. And while I'm happy that I got this copy because now I have the complete series, I'm just so upset that I didn't love this. Then we have The Stonewalls Rejected, made by Kate C. Wells. I gave this one a 3.25 and a 1 spice rating. While I do expect some level of misogyny in a shifter romance, this was a lot. Both Clay and Renly are both low-rank wolves in their pack, and they're both treated really shitty, but in different ways. And when he publicly rejects her, she is very ostracized, and he is made to become a fighter. And the violence in this was really, really jarring. And there's a certain point in this where it's all from her POV, and I really wish that in that specific part, without spoiling it, I wish we'd have got more of his point of view, because I feel like he went through a lot more than she did. Like, she went through a lot emotionally, but he was where the action was. And while the action was violence, I kind of wish we'd have got to see inside his head while that was all happening. I felt like there were some parts of this story that were missing, which might be my fault because I've not read this series in order. I've only read book 1 and book 4, and this is like a companion book to that series. But overall, this one was just okay. I didn't love it as much as I really liked book 1 in this series, but it was a book that I read, so there you go. Next we have Married to My Grumpy Minotaur Boss by Amy Wright. This one I gave a 2.75 and a 3 spice rating. This one follows Ronan, who is our Minotaur main character, and Justine. Ronan is a TV producer and Justine is his assistant, and the ratings for the TV shows that he has are tanking. So Justine comes up with this idea that they have the celebrities on one of her favourite shows that they produce, which is essentially like Married at First Sight. And she says, hey, you should go on it. Which his board of directors thinks that that is a fantastic idea, so he has to go on this show. So she lines up a list of candidates, and the candidate that they were supposed to pick ends up dropping out last minute. So he basically says, hey, you're a woman, you do it. Okay, that feels like a low bar, but sure, why not? So she goes on to this show anyway, but she's loved this show for years. So they have to essentially get married and go through all of these tasks and challenges for the TV show, and it's their romance. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love nicknames in books. Like, even the really kind of stupid nicknames, I really like. This one is the stupidest fucking nickname ever, and I hate it. He calls her traffic lights because she's always turning red. And every time I read that, I swear my eye would just twitch, because it's just so stupid. It's so dumb, and I hate it. Justine was a complete fucking doormat. Ronan was kind of a walking red flag. He only saw what he wanted to see. He had kind of tunnel vision. And she just was accepting the bare minimum, which was just so frustrating to me. Like, don't get me wrong, the book was somewhat enjoyable, but the characters just really got on my nerves. Justine deserved so much better than this, and it just wasn't really for me. Then we have Howl for the Gargoyle by Catherine Moon. I gave this one a 3.75 and a 5 spice rating. No one is surprised by the 5 spice rating on a Catherine Moon book. This one is the second book in the Monster Smash Agency series, and this book follows Hannah and Rafe. And Hannah is a newly turned werewolf, and as a newly turned werewolf, she has a very, very, very high sex drive, but she also has this newfound strength, which means she has the capability of hurting people. So she doesn't really know what to do with it all until one of her friends suggests the Monster Smash Agency. And she's paired up with Rafe, who is our gargoyle main character. Now, being a gargoyle and made from stone, he is a lot more durable, so he can take what she has to dish out. With his work at the Monster Smash Agency, he is kind of used to people being a little bit more aggressive with him because he can take it. But just because he can doesn't mean it doesn't hurt him sometimes. And Hannah is like really considerate because she doesn't want to hurt anyone. So she makes sure that she is also taking care of him while he is taking care of her. And I really enjoyed these two together. I thought they were really sweet. But there is a darker aspect of this book that's kind of underlying from when she was turned into a werewolf. And that storyline really, really got me. The ending of this book really had me on the edge of my seat. I really enjoy this series. I can't wait for the next one that comes out next year. Next we have Bound to the Battle God by Ruby Dixon. I gave this one a 4.25 and a 3 spice rating. This one is actually the longest book that I read this year, falling in at 666 pages. I mean, I did listen to it on audio, and I had such a good time with this. For a standalone romantasy novel, this was so much fun. Now bear in mind, when I say standalone romantasy novel, they're interconnected standalones. So I think the next book in this series does follow a different couple, so this book stands completely on its own. But you might have to read book 1 for the world building and the context before you read book 2. I'm not sure, I've not read book 2. But this was so much fun. This book follows Faith and Aaron, and Faith goes through this portal kind of accidentally. She goes through a door, it turns out to be a portal. She ends up in a different world where she accidentally becomes enslaved because, quite frankly, she knows nothing about this world and she kind of puts her foot in it, which is bound to happen. And to get out of enslavement, she becomes an anchor for this god that descends when they have this big festival type thing. And being his anchor, she has to basically be human for him. So she has to eat more because she has to eat for her and for him. She has to sleep more because she has to sleep for her and him and that kind of thing. And they have to go on all of these challenges to kill all of the other versions of him that descended with him, so he can be basically the last one standing. I would probably say that this is my first high fantasy Ruby Dixon book, and one of the first ones that I've read that are not part of the Ice Planet Barbarians Ice Home series. I mean, I have read one that was like a tiny little novella, but this is my first like full-length big fantasy novel from her. I really enjoyed this. I love the slow build of their relationship, I love the adventures that they went on, and the ending had me quite emotional, to be honest. Now, again, as we've stated, doesn't take much, but I was in my feelings. Then we have Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Leese. I gave this one a 4.5 and a 2 spice rating. There is just something about Chloe Leese's writing that just genuinely makes my heart happy. This book follows Jamie and Bree, and this is a very opposites attract type of story, because Jamie is very straight-laced, very put together, whereas Bree is a little chaos gremlin. I love that about her. The first time they meet, she accidentally spills a drink on him. Twice. But Jamie's the type of guy that brings a spare shirt with him when he goes out. But their friends and her twin sister are very much trying to push these two together, and when they realise that they've been manipulated into trying to be together like that, they decide that they're going to fake date to kind of get back at them. The logic makes more sense in the book, I swear. This was honestly just so sweet, and they work together so well because it's the type of opposites attract where they kind of fill in each other's blank spaces, because she really loosens him up and he keeps her together. And I love the two of them together. It just works so well. Chloe Leese definitely does write more realistic type of romances, but like healthy relationships. And if you're trying to escape from reality, I get that Chloe Leese might not be for you, but sometimes just reading about healthy relationships is just nice. Then we have Marriage and Mastery by Nisha Sharma. I gave this one a 4.25 and a 3 spice rating. This one is a friends to lovers accidental marriage of convenience, and I ate this shit up. This is one of the If Shakespeare Was an Auntie series, and I feel like this series is so underrated. This one follows Vera and Deepak at the start of this book is engaged to someone else, but it's sort of a marriage of convenience to put him in better standing to become CEO when his father steps down in a few months. But when his fiancée influencer posts a "get ready with me to break up with my fiancé" video, before she's actually spoken to him about it, he calls her up and was like, respectfully, but what the fuck? So they decide to break off the engagement, and he essentially kind of runs away to Vera, who is in Goa at the time. But they've not really spoken in 8 months since he got engaged, because she's been in love with him all of this time, and she wanted to use the time to get space from him. So she decided that she was going to travel the world with her sister in order to get space from her best friend who she's in love with. But while they're in Goa, there's another couple there that are renewing their wedding vows, but they're doing it in like a proper Indian ceremony. But the other couple are really nervous. They don't want to like disrespect the culture, and they don't really know what to do, and they don't really want to put their foot in it. So Vera's sister basically says, hey, why don't these guys do a run through and they'll show you what an Indian wedding is supposed to look like, so you guys kind of know what you're in for. So it's essentially meant to be like this practice wedding, but they do the entire full religious ceremony. So while they're not legally married, religiously and spiritually they are married. So since they do the full religious ceremony, to him they are really married. So straight from the off, that is his wife now. But she's still trying to protect her heart, so she's like, no, we're just fake married, we're just going through the motions of this because it got out that you now are married to someone else, like, very shortly after your fiance publicly broke up with you. So we're just going through the motions until it's kind of okay for us to separate. I just love this so much. Seeing so much of like Indian weddings and all of the things that go into that, because it's a whole thing. It's genuinely just so fascinating to me. And he is very like closed off, but he slowly begins to open up more and realize that he has been in love with Vera this whole time too. I just really love this series. I love these two together. It was just such a good time. And finally, the last book that I read in 2024 was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I gave this one a 4-star. This book follows Dora and Elias, and when Dora was a child, a fae came to try and take her soul. But he was interrupted halfway through and only managed to take half her soul. So she is left with half of her soul, and she doesn't really feel things the way that she's supposed to. She knows what she's supposed to be feeling and how she's supposed to react, but she doesn't really feel any of them deeply. She's kind of just numb. All of her really big feelings she feels very deep down, but it's like it's through a veil of sorts. And Elias is essentially like this magician type person who is very, very, very grumpy. And I love that for him, because between her lack of feeling and his grumpiness, they have a very dry humour together, and it's just the banter between them. Mwah! Delicious. This was very fairy tale-esque, and I really enjoyed that about it, but there was one thing, because there always has to be one thing with me, that I didn't really love about it, and I get it, but it kind of bothered me. And it's that while her cousin does love her very much, she was very much determined to fix her, instead of just accepting that this is who she is now and loving her as she is, which is what Elias does. He very much loves her as she comes, in the version of her that is right now, whereas her cousin was very determined to fix her. I think it bothered me more because, to me, she came across as, like, autistic, and the fact that her cousin wanted to fix her just sort of bothered me a little bit. But overall, the fairy tale aspect of this was just so lovely, and the relationship and the banter. It was just so much fun and a great book to end my year on. And that's all the books that I read in the month of December. So if you managed to get this far into the video, then leave a scissors emoji in the comments down below. But for now, thank you so much for stopping by. It has been lovely having you here, and I hope to see you in another video coming very soon. Bye.